What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. And today I have back for the second time, but some of y'all might not have seen him the first time because we had some technical difficulties. Nathaniel Mulcahy. I'm gonna get it right eventually. Mulcahy, but we're gonna call him Nate for short today. That's actually my cousin's name and my uncle's name, Nathaniel.
That's a good name.
Call him Nate. Yeah, I like that name. So the last time we had Nate on, we talked a lot about climate change.
Yeah.
And obviously Nate is running for office in the 6th district, Massachusetts.
That's correct. Yep.
6th district of Massachusetts. And climate change is his wheelhouse. And before we get into the totality of his platform, I wanted to give Nate a chance to address the elephant that didn't show up to the room last night in the primary debates. So what do you think about the fact that climate change was not discussed? Do you think this was done in some nefarious way? Do you think it was just kind of like, we already talked about it during the town hall, so we don't need to relitigate it? Like, why do you think it wasn't discussed?
Well, I mean, Niko, that's a great question. There are actually two elephants in the room. The first one is Tulsi wasn't on stage.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk two elephants in the room. And it's related to the fact that climate wasn't there. The DNC, in my opinion, is doing their very best to control the dialogue and avoid issues that'll make their candidates look bad. So Tulsi, by changing the rules mid-road from the 17 polls to just the 2, you don't change the rules mid-game. So by doing that, they unjustly excluded from the debates.
Yes.
Why did they exclude them? Well, she devastated Harris. Who knows who she would have gone for next? Warren, maybe. Biden.
Warren is extremely lucky that Tulsi was not on that debate stage with that comment she made about treating treating terrorism like a worldwide issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was terrified when she said that.
Yeah.
Because she sounded like she was basically advocating to keep troops all around the world and engage wherever we have to all the time. And it just Tulsi would have absolutely for that.
Absolutely. I mean, you make a good point, but we can't forget third elephant in the room is that Warren voted for a military budget that was bigger than the one that Trump requested by $26 billion. You know, Trump asked for X. She says, no, I'm going to stand up to Trump. Let me give him 26 billion more.
I'll show him.
That's
and green
right.
bombs. Don't forget green bombs.
That's right.
She's all about the green bombs. That's how she's going to save climate change.
3 elephants in the room. But I think what it really boils down to is it's all the same issue. The DNC is controlling the dialogue in a way to make their chosen ones not look bad. So they had a climate forum because in a forum, you can't have the candidates question each other or point out each other's flaws, right? If I'm standing here and I can speak and give a soliloquy, it might be pretty. Soliloquies are. Shakespeare loved them. But there's nobody who's going to say,
for office. He won't run for president.
But nobody's going to say, hey, wait a second, what you said's actually false or factually incorrect or scientifically unsupported. That doesn't happen in a forum.
And you're going to have less attention being paid to it because there isn't that ability to be challenged substantively and have that direct comparison and contrast right there while the other candidates are on stage.
And that's why there wasn't a climate debate. That's why climate wasn't issued yesterday, because that's too vulnerable. Biden is hugely vulnerable on that. Everybody's vulnerable
All
on that.
of them except for Bernie on the stage.
Yeah, on the stage, Bernie's the only one whose plan is solid. It's scientifically supported. It needs Tulsi. We discussed this last time. You know, off fossil fuels is absolutely imperative. You can't have Bernie's Green New Deal without fossil fuels issues being dealt with. And the fact that she presented that before she was running for office makes me trust it even more.
Yeah. 400 climate environmental organizations. And like it was it's in the Green New Deal. Bernie's Green New Deal specifically is a really good plan. But but somebody kind of misrepresented it. They said it was the most it was the best plan according to some organization, and that's not true. Technically, the OFAC is like Bernie's plan is great, But like Nate said, there needs to be more collaboration there. And I feel like there's too much competition with climate change plans amongst progressives and not enough unification there.
Well, I mean, I'm a scientist. I'm also an engineer, and what really is mind-boggling is science shouldn't be a debatable issue, right?
I think it should, because, man, you got to remember, psychology told us that Black people were not as smart as white people for a long time. So I think it can be a debatable issue, but I do believe that it should be based in, like, maybe we can have a methodology conversation or, things like that. But whether or not something is like, it's like having a psychology conversation. Do brains exist? Are there different levels of intelligence? It's like, well, yeah. but then some people are like, no, there's not. There's only one. No, that doesn't make sense.
No. I mean, and then there are multiple ways to approach a problem. But the nice thing about, at least when we're dealing with climate and the climate crisis, because let's call it what it is. It's a crisis. Is there are some things which are no longer up for debate. For example, temperature. A thermometer is a thermometer is a thermometer, and by any other name, right? Just and if the temperature in July is X, and next year it's higher, and next year it's higher, and we've been mapping it for 100 or more years, 200 years, mapping temperatures, you can see trends. I mean, that's not up for debate. In terms of burning fossil fuels will lead to a rise in atmospheric temperatures, that's not up for debate anymore. I mean, Svante Arrhenius, who was a Nobel laureate 123 years ago, published a peer-reviewed paper in the Journal of Science that said, if we continue burning fossil fuels, it's going to raise CO2 levels, and that will cause global atmospheric warming.
That's crazy. 123 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
basically, for those of you who don't know, that's the Industrial Revolution. Like, he was trying to warn everybody, basically.
Yeah. And 123 years ago. Yeah, it's easy to demonize Exxon for hiding information 40 years ago, but our government knew over 100 years ago.
It's true.
It's true. So and that's actually one thing I can fault Bernie on his climate discussion on his forum, where he says, let's sue the fossil fuel industry for hiding this from us. You can't sue them from hiding, the government can't sue the fossil fuel industry from hiding something that the government knew 60 years before the fossil fuel industry hit it.
That's true, because it would have to be the government suing on behalf of the government, but the government already had the information.
Right. That case is lost. So
you feel like it's a deflection of responsibility and accountability. It's like, no, our government is the problem. Corporations already get their fair share of blame from progressives. We already know exactly how, culpable they are. Right. But I do feel like there's not enough level of accountability within the government, not just with climate change, but in almost every aspect of every discussion that we will have during a debate or during this primary. Like the gun laws, like I always talk about the fact I was talking about gun laws with Dr. Jason Nichols, I should say, last night after the debates. And I'm like, it's crazy to me that no one is saying like common sense thing. It's like the most extreme solutions, instead of saying, you know what, let's take a step back for a second and figure out why in Chapel Hill, where I went to college at UNC, I didn't see one situation where black on black crime was an issue. There was not one black person shot by another black person.
Right.
And it was also not another white person shot by another white person. In fact, nobody was getting shot because it was Chapel Hill. So why is it that here, where opportunity and prosperity exists, we don't have these shootings, we don't have these crimes, we don't have these issues, but in another area where a lack of opportunity, a lack of healthcare, a lack of prosperity exists, we have not only gun violence, but we also have environmental issues within those poor neighborhoods. We you know what I'm saying? We have all types of systemic issues that are not being addressed. And it's kind of like the Trump situation, right? It's a symptom of a deep and ugly issue that we're not, that I feel like most politicians, we have 2 or 3 that are now trying to do so, but most politicians aren't trying to address these things substantively.
Right. No. And you make a really good point. I mean, what Bernie's been doing all along is talking about how economic disparity is really causing a lot of problems. And if we combine the issues around economic disparities, justice disparities, and climate disparities, I think we cover pretty much any issue that
true.
anybody will ever bring up. So there needs to be a leveling of a lot of issues, and that's part of why I'm running, because there's a lot of finger pointing, there's a lot of discussions, and there's no actual action being taken on these issues. There hasn't.
That's true. That's true. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it seems like we agree on a lot. Man, I really wish you were running for office. Oh, that's right. You are running for office. You're running in the 6th district of Massachusetts, and you're running against somebody who was trying to get on that debate stage just a couple of months ago before he dropped out. You let everybody know, who you're running against and like what was the original reason that you decided to run for office?
Sure. So I'm running against Seth Moulton. He's the incumbent here. He's and I'm in the unique position that I'm not running against a horrible person, right? I mean, the Democrats on the stage last night had the advantage, and Harris really focused on that issue last night, where she really focused on Trump as being the bad guy. But
she kind of had to, right?
Well, yeah.
Like, please look at him. Look at him. Right, stop looking at my record.
Right. But absolutely. But you already touched on it. Trump's not the problem. Trump's the symptom. You get rid of Trump, you still haven't fixed anything, because everything that put Trump in place is still there. Mm-hmm. Everything that allows Trump to do all these bad things is still there. He can be replaced by another puppet. And I don't think that's a bad term to use for him. But in this race, however, in District 6, I'm not running against a bad guy. Moulton, to his credit, ran on veterans issues. And unlike 99% of politicians, he kept his promise. He really focused on it and did a good job with it. The fact is there are a lot of other issues that need to be addressed, and they're not being addressed. And I've dealt with climate policy for 20 years. I'm an inventor, I'm an engineer, I'm a scientist. I've been doing on the ground actual solutions that work, from regular mundane situations to even extreme things, like I was feeding people in refugee camps in Haiti during the earthquake and doing environmental policy at the same time. I'm
glad you're still here, because if you were in Haiti, like sometimes, the Clintons don't like people helping in Haiti because you might find something there.
I did, and I got blackballed a lot. Yep.
I'm glad you're still with us.
Me too. I even got sued by Total Gas, which is
that's Bill Clinton's brothers, or Hillary Clinton's brothers.
Hillary Clinton's brother didn't have a direct influence on me, but I was, in full disclosure, I was the Clinton Foundation's poster child for Earth Day in 2010 during the Haiti crisis.
Look, we're doing something.
Right. Basically co-opting and taking credit for all the stuff I'm doing. But then I outed some stuff that was going on, and I wasn't in good favor anymore. But I stick to the point. I try and do the things that I believe will make the planet better. Try and help the most people I can in my lifetime. And if it ruffles feathers along the way, that's not a bad thing.
That's right? Pretty amazing. I did not know that you got blackballed by the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, I got.
That's like, man, talk about, you just went up like 50 points in my damn book. Not that you weren't already high. I would have voted for you anyway if I was.
Thank you.
But like, that is amazing for you to, they used your face, and you know how that goes. Like, if they co-opt you, it's much easier to discredit you whenever the time comes, when it's necessary for them to do so. And yet, obviously, you walked through the fire and still came out, on top, and you still have your integrity. But a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't do that. And people usually get scared by that. They just don't run for office. They stay out the public eye. And you seem to have doubled down on, the issues that matter most to you. So you have, I said, respect for that.
Thank you, Niko. Hey, Niko, but what it boils down to is what's right is right. It shouldn't be up for debate. Right? Total Gas is the French equivalent of BP, and they tried to stop all my humanitarian work, and I won that case too. So I took on big oil, I took on the Clintons, and I'm still here.
Man, that's dope. I got some confidence you're gonna get some stuff done in Congress, man.
That's the hope. It's
funny. I was about to say, go to Nate's website and donate. but you have a very unique structure to the way you run your campaign.
Yep.
And if you could explain to people just how you're a little bit different when it comes to the finance part, because not only do you not take corporate money, but there's something else that you don't take at all.
Yeah, so I do take donations because, as a Democratic candidate, you're required to have the whole Act Blue set up, and I did it, and it's there. I think today we've taken in, $64. But the reality is campaign finance is part of the core problem of our nation, right? And this whole discussion of Warren saying she won't take money until the general. If you're taking money, you're beholden to those who give you money. Mm-hmm. Right? You should only be beholden to your constituents. End of discussion. And because we have lobbyists, because we have this ridiculous campaign, because we have campaigns where even people who are running uncontested will spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for their re-elections, we have a real problem, right? How you're uncontested. Why are you spending money on a re-election campaign? So what I'm trying to do with this is, if
you're buying protection, you're selling them protection, Nate. That's what they're doing. You're like, we're going to protect you.
Or I'm painting a big bullseye on myself here, right?
Yeah, that too. Well, I'm saying if you take the money, then for the corporate candidates, they're like, well, I'm not running against anybody. Well, yeah, but you don't want, just in case somebody runs against you, you want to take this money, right? So you can beat them. Because otherwise, maybe the money ends up in their campaign. You never know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's some mafioso stuff.
So, yeah, I grew up in Italy. I know what the mafia looks like. So if you think about it, though, I mean, say you give me $5, right? I thank you, Niko. I would appreciate that. That's a great donation. The reality is that $5, you earned it, and you don't earn it by not using time. So I would much rather you give me the time it would have taken you to earn those $5 than for you to give me the $5. We have the donate button, but we've got a much bigger volunteer button. And if you look, there's a long list of volunteer stuff that we can do, because at the end, that's what you're using the money for. You're using it for the accountants, for the graphic design, for campaign, the people who are knocking door to door, who are really the core existence of any campaign. They're not getting paid. They should be getting paid, but they're not getting paid for any of the candidates at any level. So if we can eliminate campaign finance by focusing on volunteers rather than donations, and we're successful in that, that sends another message out to the world that we can change that. We can change how elections are done. We can return to an actual democratic process. We should get rid of lobbyists.
Before AOC, I know she had the backing of the Justice Democrats, but the thing that people don't know is that, she had the Justice Democrats somewhat setting up her infrastructure. That wasn't how it was in the beginning. She barely had any money. That ad was basically a discount. It was like a $5,000 ad or something like that. And everybody it's the best $5,000 that any campaign has ever spent, but usually campaign ads like that, for that professional, that detailed, they're going to cost you $20,000, $25,000. Yeah. And if you want it on TV, it's going to cost you even more to get on network. So but when you can get a volunteer to do something like that for you, it speaks volumes, because it's like, okay, this person took the time to invest themselves into this because they believe in it. And in my opinion, it's going to make it even better, right? Because they care about it more. It isn't just another paycheck for them. And then, for you, it once again demonstrates that we can win this with the power of the people. And then we can also get people involved in the process rather than looking from afar, if we wanted to. But
it's their campaign.
Otherwise.
I mean, what a lot of people don't understand about the role of a congressperson is and politicians really shouldn't be about self. If you look at my first campaign video, I'm not even featured in it. There's not a single image of me in it. It's policy, right? Let's deal with policy. And the point of dealing with that, and it was a gamble to do that. The point of doing that is, in my opinion, the role of a congressperson is to be, there's a nice word in Italian, portavoce, the voice carrier, right? And the congressperson's job is to carry the voice of their district. So a congressperson isn't going to deal with the potholes here on the road. A congressperson is going to help shape the nation in the way their district wants the nation to be shaped.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with the federal issues. So
and help guide the
what does-
conversation
what-
for their district.
Right. Right. So I mean, if you think about our district is huge. It used to be the single most influential district in the nation. Separation of church and state happened here. Frederick Douglass settled here to raise his family and write his books. In 1786, so when this country was 10 years old, the people of Andover and North Andover went to jail because the current government then, when our country was 10 years old, was trying to block people from immigrating here. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we shaped this nation from this district. But in 2016, only 8.84% of our district voted.
Wow.
And I think for the district which helped shape this nation, I mean, public education started in this district. Everything seems started.
That can
be
huge for you, because running at a time where you know there's going to be a huge increase in voter turnout, like that usually benefits the outsider, anti-establishment candidate.
The Navy started in our district. I mean, this district is hugely important.
Wow.
We need to reclaim our voice on the national stage. And my job as a congressperson is to listen to everybody. I have listening sessions for all 39 towns and cities in our district. People can come up, ask me anything. In contrast, and then I carry that to Washington. In contrast to other candidates, contrast to other politicians, where maybe they get an hour or two of contact for office hours, have a campaign number.
Man, you see, that's where people mess up, because what the rest of the world doesn't know is you got a whole staff to take care of most everything you need to do. Your time should honestly be dedicated to your constituency. And really, you should be back at home a lot more than you're in DC. And that's how I feel about that. And if I ever ran for Congress, which is not out of the question at all, it might be in the very near future. That's the one thing that I want to do is just, I want to be able to go from to my district and go to every city and, hey, what's going on? Just chill. I don't even have to be there to do anything in particular. Just like, I just want to be there to see what people are dealing with day to day. It sounds like that's what you want to do as well. So my question,
I challenge anybody to try and call a candidate or a politician and get a direct answer. I challenge anybody. You're going to get a gatekeeper.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the only time I've ever seen it happen was literally, I think, Tulsi recently. That, which was crazy. I was not expecting that. And she's done it a couple of times. And that's what you call being accountable to your followers. Whether or not they like the answer or not is irrelevant. But the fact that you answer the phone and you give a response and you do an entire video, you don't even keep it private, you do an entire video to address it to all of your constituency, that demonstrates that you're not making the decision, whether or not we agree with it, for some selfish means on behalf of a corporate interest or behalf of somebody else's interest. It's like, no, this is the decision, this is why, and I believe that this is best. And I can respect that as long as it isn't anything crazy. I can respect that, because that shows me, well, hey, maybe I don't agree with this one, but if they're making that decision from their heart and from what they see in front of them, I know that the next decision they're going to make, I'm likely to agree with, and it is going to be on behalf of corporate interest. So what's the first thing, before we go, what's the first thing you're going to do the moment you're elected to Congress?
Take a deep breath and then form coalitions with all the people who are really genuine progressives. There are a lot of people who say they're progressives. There aren't a lot of progressives in Congress.
Man, you got like two that you got, three to work with right now in Congress. It seems like maybe like 4 or 5. Some fly under the radar because they're doing their job. Like Jayapal. Jayapal does her job so well that she flies under the radar, which is crazy because she has introduced some of the most progressive legislation out there.
She and it's great legislation.
And she's not on Twitter looking for attention. She's out here literally pushing the conversations that we need to be pushed. And everybody else is like, when is somebody going to introduce a bill for it? It's very likely that Jayapal's already introduced one. So that's good stuff. The coalitions are extremely important. Building up that mandate is definitely important. And I look forward to you winning. Like I said, I think that this is a good election. This year is a great year for outsiders in general. Sema Hernandez shout out to Sema, is running in Texas against Ted Cruz.
And you saw she did a campaign on $4,000 last time.
Oh, was it only $4,000?
Yeah, did her whole
and she
campaign
was
on
damn near
$4,000.
running, and she was running against the Justice Democrats, which is crazy.
Yeah,
which that's a whole different discussion. They apologized to her in their defense, but they endorsed Beto over her, knowing all the fossil fuel money that he had previously taken. So like that's what was a little bit suspect about it. But nonetheless, like you said, some progressives are just have that conviction and that wherewithal to, you know what, I'm not done. And the Senate race is not small potatoes. And you're talking about a Senate race in Texas.
Yeah.
Good God. That state, even proportionally on the map, it is too small, they say. It is not even proportionate to what it is, despite how massive it is on the map. So that's a lot of work, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You're running in a huge district where you might as well be running for damn Senate. 39 cities, you know. So thank you for continuing to fight a good fight. Like I said,
thank you.
Mad respect for you standing up to the Clinton Foundation and for the work that you did in Haiti, and the work that you continue to do in climate change, and the work that I'm sure you'll continue to do after climate change. I know we talked last time and I said it's interesting because you are kind of like what the EU has as far as the people they put in charge of making policies, which is they actually bring experts rather than having a bunch of, I don't want to say failed attorneys, but a bunch of attorneys that really don't have critical thinking skills. And the reason why is because once you become a corporate attorney, you don't think critically. You have a recipe for every single situation you go into. So, it's better to have experts, and you are an expert in the subject. So I'm glad that we'll have an expert there so that whenever it's finally time to have that conversation, like Ilan gets to speak against the military industrial complex in a very unique way, like Rashida Tlaib gets to speak about Israel and Palestine in a very unique and personal way, you can do that with climate change. And I think that's going to be very welcome in Congress. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Niko. I hope to be able to address my 4 core products in the same way: climate, education, healthcare, and immigration. And thank you for this chance to talk, Niko. I really appreciate it.
Always. And real quick, let everybody know where they can find you at. What website?
Sure. www.mulcahy2020.com. That's MULCAHY. And if you ever have a phone, 978-325-0012. I answer it from 10 to 12. I will answer anybody's call in any district about any topic.
Good stuff. I love it. And for everybody else, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream interview of Mikasa Sukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.
Peace, Niko. Thanks so much.